Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to White Sands Self-Care, where we provide connections and collaborations and a whole host of professionals to help you along your self-care journey. So I am your host, Laura Cross, and I have this beautiful lady with me today, Cathy Reilly. She is the CEO of Sharing the Shine. She's a personal leadership coach, wellness specialist, and speaker. And after 2 decades of advocating for others in the litigation area, Cathy realized that most people, including herself, do not self-advocate. So Cathy uses her research and fact-finding skills to learn and develop and master tools that shift those limited thoughts, the self-limiting thoughts, and the patterns to self-fulfilling success. So, and she's also an author, I want to say, and you can see it in the back. This is why we have her here, to gain courage of your voice, because this is an excellent read if you've never done it. This book that she did was called Unleash Your Inner Voice. It is the Introvert's Guide to Overcoming the Itty-Bitty Shitty Committee. And I will tell you, it is a very good book. And I am so happy to have you here with us today, Cathy. Maybe you can tell us a little bit, or tell everybody a little bit how you did that by finding your voice, or how you started to gain that courage to find your voice.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. And how I gained my courage is something that I think some of us might be familiar with. It's when you hit that rock bottom. So for me, it was 4 surgeries in 5 months. I went down, and I went down hard. I nearly lost my life. And at one point, so the second surgery, there was a clear moment when the pain overcame. So it was an ectopic pregnancy. I know this now, but I didn't at the time. My right tube had burst, and I had been bleeding out all day. And I remember standing up to get off the couch to go get a cup of tea. The pain hit and literally brought me to my knees. And then I knew I was going to actually physically get sick. I hit the ground, and I moved commando style off the carpet, because I didn't want to have to clean it up, onto the tile floor, and just let my head sit on the cold tile and let go. And at that moment, I'm like, I think I need help. And the inner critic, the itty-bitty shitty committee, the voices hit. And they told me, stop being a drama queen, that it's nothing. You haven't eaten anything. You just need food. It's this, it's that. And I dismissed it. And I waited until my safe person came home, which was my husband. And then it obviously didn't get any better. He scooped me up, took me to the ER, and then they rushed me over to the hospital for emergency surgery. So I came this close to losing my life. The doctors did learn that I have a very high threshold for pain. So I've got that going for me. But a few months later, I ended up having 2 more surgeries, 2 detached retinas. That surgery, it was absolutely horrible. So here I am, heavily medicated, sitting on the couch, and my 5-year-old daughter brings me dinner because I don't have the faculty, the ability, whatever, to cook. You didn't want me around anything with heat or knives. So I was laying on the couch, and she brings dinner to me, and she's like, what else can I do for you, Mama? And I was like, oh, that was the problem. She's 5 years old, and she was helping me. So I realized that as I hit that rock bottom, I didn't want her to be me. So I had to make change. I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I had to learn how to use my voice. I had to learn how to stop that itty-bitty shitty committee, the stinking thinking. And I had to gain a lot of courage to just move forward and be and own my space, so that I could be a living example for her, so that she would never have to be in that position. So that's how it all started. I have a degree in psychology and business. You know, I've got trainings with the brain, the noodle, NLP, all of that. And I learned systems and tools on how to show up for myself like I was showing up for everybody else. So I had to be the mama bear for me like I was for her. And it can be done. It's a learned process. So that's a little bit long of the story, but in a nutshell, that's really what happened. Is I had to almost lose my life and decide that I needed to make the change for her. And it just changed everything.
And I think there's too many of us. I think, well, to me, it seems to be women in particular too. We seem to have this mode where we just go, 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 or we take care of everybody else. We're used to being that whole caretaker. We don't ask for help because I can do it myself, or I can take care of it. And, you know, you never really like use your voice to say, hey, I really could use some help, because we're used to being the ones that just go through and take care of everything.
Right. And we also think about, okay, I could ask for help, but then I would have to teach them how to do it and show them how to do it. And then they're not going to do it right because nobody does it better than I do. Then I'd have to redo it anyway. So just forget it. I'm just going to do it myself. So we're just, you know, we need to get over ourselves and learn to ask for help.
We do. It takes a lot. I've had to learn. It's like, you know what? There's more than one way to do something. So it didn't go in this way. It's like, okay, but it's hung up or it's here. You know, at least it's something less to do. So,
exactly.
yeah.
The result, you can still get to the same result with different actions. So,
yeah. And so that's kind of what got you started. Because I know it mentions introvert, and most people I think that know you or have met you would never even know, you know, that you're an introvert. I've had people tell me that they thought that I was an extrovert. And I said, no, I'm an ambivert. I am right in the middle. I lean more towards the introvert, but I have a little bit of extrovert, but I'm like smack in the middle on that.
yeah. And I'm full on introvert, but here's what I will tell you. Being an introvert allows you to have certain skills that really help build a business, but you can learn to be an extrovert. And then you also need to understand self-care so that when you step into that uncomfort zone of being the extrovert, that you then recharge yourself in the right way so that you are not depleted. So thank you for saying that. I have worked hard to show up as anything but an introvert. But those who really know me know me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And maybe you have some tips or techniques that you can share with people. I know one of mine that I used, because when people ask me to speak or stand up and do something, I had to keep telling myself, okay, I'm going into a room. None of these people know me. None of these people know that I do not like to get up and speak in front of people, or, you know, that the papers will normally shake, or if, you know, when I first joined network groups, even standing up for 30 seconds, everything would just shake. And it took time. I had to just keep telling myself, and people just thought I did that all the time. And I'm like, And over time, I started getting more and more, you know, used to it. It took some time, but you're right. When I came back, I needed to do something that I enjoyed to just regroup and be proud of myself that I got through that I did it. But I'm sure you have other tips, techniques, things that can help people do that and gain, you know, to gain that voice that they need.
Oh yes, honey. I've got loads of tips for networking and things like that. I always walk into it saying, I just need to meet one person. I just need to meet one person. I play some great music to get my vibe and get my happiness on. So you set the tone for your energy as you walk in. And then, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe. So as you walk into a networking group, to a meeting, to a family function, if you are there at a high energy and feeling happy, other people are going to feel it and they are going to shift to your level, making it all happy and easy. Things just, the conversations flow and it doesn't as much work. But one of the things that's in my book that I wanted to share with your audience today is the 3 tips on how to really use your voice. So for individuals who they've been in a conversation, whether it's personally or professionally, they want to say something and that thought hits the head, right? So you know this, and then you do the and then you stop, right? You know what I'm talking about?
I do. Mhm.
We've been there. We've all been there. You've been there. I've been there. God knows I've been there. So there's a system that I utilized, perfected, and now teach to help others get comfortable with being uncomfortable and using their voice. And it's kind of like Nike, when they say, just do it. You really do just have to do it. You just have to use your voice more and more and more until it becomes less and less uncomfortable. It's all about courage. And John Wayne says it best, because I'm a horse girl, and courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway. So it is just doing the thing that scares you. But using your voice can be extra terrifying, especially if you're somebody like me that was an introvert. So here's what I suggest. Okay, what we're going to do is create a safe space for you to use your voice. So the first step is to identify someone in your world, whether it's personally or professionally. Where do you want to use your voice more? Identify somebody that is your safe person. Okay. Like I said before, it was my husband. My husband is my safe person. He's my guinea pig in all things. And he's pretty cute. So he's good with that too. So, but identify your safe person. Who is somebody that you are the most you around, that has seen you good, bad, ugly, that you can, just be yourself. You could, burp in front of, whatever, somebody that knows you and that you can have an honest dialogue with them, and somebody that you are willing to get uncomfortable with and push yourself with. Okay. So whether it's a spouse, a coworker, a sibling, whoever it is, first identify that person. Okay. The second thing then is what we're going to do is create the safe space with that safe person. So you're going to have a conversation with the person, and you're going to let them know, because you got to let them know that they're in on this. So we're going to do a little bit of an experiment. So thank you, friend. I'm going to do a little experiment. What I'd love for you to do is to help support me. I have a tendency to hesitate using my voice, and I want you to be my safe person, so that when we're having conversations and I feel that hesitation, you tell me it is okay, that this is a safe place and I can use my voice. So you get them on board, right?
Right.
So they now know you have your safe person. You've created a safe space. So every time you're with this person, you know that you can use your voice. You know that they're not going to judge you. You know that they are going to look at you like, okay, we're in that zone, and they're going to love on you anyway. So you create that safe person, safe space, and then it's time to use your voice. So every time you are around that person and you feel that hesitation, because you know it when it happens.
You do.
So you're like, okay, we're talking about this, that, and the other thing. And you're like, and then you go, okay, Cathy, this is my safe person. It's a safe space. You take a deep breath of courage, exhale that fear, and speak. And I got to tell you, I did this with my husband. And he was kind of funny, because he was like, you don't talk.
And that's exactly what Dakota would say about me too.
And I'm like, you'd be amazed how many times I bite my tongue, or how many times, he'll say something like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to eat? What do you want this? What do you want that? And you're like, I don't care, whatever you want, dear. Of course, because that's kind of how I was raised. And I said, okay, we're going to do this. And he's like, good, I'm in. And then I remember the first time vividly. So we're driving in the car. I have a daughter, one daughter. So what's really, really cool is when a daughter goes to a sleepover, it's date night for parents. So we're like, yay, going out. So we go out, we're driving in the car, and he's like, where do you want to go, dear? And I say, oh, okay, this is where I usually just say whatever you want. But actually, I really want Mexican. And I'm like, honey, I think I want that Mexican. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, that just worked. It was that easy. So The first time was very terrifying, I got to tell you, but it got easier and easier and easier. 6 months later, child has a sleepover. So it's date night again. And we're going out. And this time he's like, where do you want to go, dear? And I'm like, Mexican, I want a margarita. And he's like, no. Okay, how about this place? No. And I'm like, well, how about this? And he's like, no. And I'm like, honey, I have a feeling there's something you want. So why don't you tell me? And then I'll decide if this is a good idea. And then I was like, oh, I'm cured. But I have to tell you, within that time period, then other people started noticing, Cathy, what's going on? You're showing up differently. And it's just, the more you use your voice, the more you own that uncomfort zone, the more confidence you build, the more you're able to use it in not just your personal relationship, but then in your business. And then you show up, and then you're like me and you start taking stages. So that's the 3-step process: is safe person, safe space, use your voice.
Nice. Yep. Those definitely good steps and a good starting place. Cause like you said, you're already kind of starting to jump to even a bigger level now with going on stage and being an introvert. So that is huge.
Yeah.
How are you finding that process? You got more steps? You just kind of work on the same to
Okay,
get there?
I'm sorry. You kind of cut out a little bit.
Sorry. So to get to that even bigger level, are you kind of following the same steps, or you just kind of adding a little bit to it to get to that even bigger step for getting on stage?
Well, it's a constant work in progress. I will say that. But I will say that I do recognize every time I still feel that hesitation. And so I ask myself, okay, is it worth me using my voice? Like, sometimes there are just conversations that are just not worth the effort. And then there are other times where it's like, no, I have something to add. I'm a valuable individual. And so I, again, inhale the courage, exhale the fear, and I speak. And it's kind of amazing that the more you do it, the easier it gets. There's also mindset tools and techniques that I use to really help me and help my clients really show up big. Confidence is a learned skill. Okay. People are not born with confidence.
No.
It is a learned skill. So have you ever been around somebody that just, you're like, oh, I want to be more like her, or I want to be more like him, right?
Yeah.
So your vibe attracts your tribe. So they are putting off a vibe that you want to mirror. So start hanging out with them more. You are the result, or the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. Yep. So I found early on that the people that are taking stages, that are speaking that way, that are in front of the room, that are doing this, those are the people I'm hanging out with. And for the last decade, I've spent as much time as I can with them. Now, you don't say, hey, will you be my mentor? You just hang out with them, go to where they go, network where they go to their events, be around them, learn, and just learn by watching. So they're teaching you on a constant basis. We just have to pay attention and be open to the possibilities.
I learned that a long time, and the whole like attracts like, and I always kind of like what Gary Barnes said, because you have sometimes when you want to be like that person, you have a tendency to put them up on the pedestal, and Gary Barnes will always tell you, don't put me on a pedestal. He goes, it hurts when I fall. I'm like, it's like, they're just regular people, and they're so, they're so happy to help. And if you put yourself in that situation, and like you said, you start to be where they are and be around where they are, you just kind of naturally raise right along with them.
Right. We're all on the same journey. Okay. So we all take different paths to get to there. Some of us are a little bit further along. So, and that is okay. It is just about learn by what they're doing. Keep following. There's lots of people out there that have been in the same situation as you that are just moving forward. And it's all comes down to your next best decision, your next choice. What step are you going to do today to move forward? And then you just take a little step, right, into that confidence, and then another little step into that confidence. And then next thing you know, you're down the road and you're speaking to, 10,000 people, and giddy up, life's fun.
Yeah, and I think those little steps are important, especially when you say, like, when you're an introvert. There's some people I've seen that are starting their business and stuff, and they kind of know what they need to do, but they don't. It's kind of like this constant little struggle and battle, and maybe afraid to speak up and stand up for themselves, or put that value on themselves to say, no, this isn't right, or no, this isn't a good fit. We need to do something else. So,
Agreed. Yeah. We've got so many bullies in the world that are taking stage because they don't have that inner critic. They think they need to be heard. Whereas so many of us that have amazing value are like, oh, so we'll stay quiet. And I think it's time to flip that switch. We need to hear, there's so much goodness, there's so much value. Everyone listening here has something to say. And we need to hear it. I need to hear it. I want to hear from everybody, because I can learn from every single person, and everyone can learn from, my journey. So it's just, we've got to use that voice to be heard. And keep in mind, the more you do it and the more you shine, you give other people permission to do the same.
Yeah, that's why I really enjoyed this platform and doing this, is, for other people to know that there's other people out there that may have had that same struggle, or may have went through something that you did. And maybe there is a tip or technique, or maybe someone you can relate to, that can help them get by, that says, hey, I'm not alone in this. And we don't judge people, and to know that you have a safe space, you're not being judged, but you have that support, to me, is a huge part of it.
Yes. Creating that safe space was a game changer for me, and has been for my clients, because it releases that fear, because it's not gone completely, and it never will be, but it allows you to really step into that courage that you wouldn't otherwise. But as you do it, it grows and gets bigger, and then it starts hitting other areas. It's such a powerful tool. I love teaching this.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And like you said, that self-care part is a very big part of it as well. Because I know that even myself, the more I learned self-care, the more that when life hit me with something, the faster I could get through it and come back. It wouldn't knock me down or set me back as far as what it used to. That's a huge part. And having the voice to say, okay, hey, I'm struggling right now, need help from someone, is, it's important to be able to do that, and not just kind of suffer and dwell in it yourself.
Well, and the other thing the shift on the perspective, as we, are moms and are busy, we're entrepreneurs, we're spouses, we're family members, right? We have homes, we have so many things. When somebody offers to help you, even if it's such a small, minor thing, that may be their only way of helping and supporting you. By giving you a ride, by picking something up, by doing something, that may be their only way to show. And so who are you to deny that?
Yeah. And it's huge to have that support too. I mean, it might sound small, or it might sound like they might feel like they're not doing enough, but it can mean the world to the person. It doesn't always have to be something huge or grandiose. I think everybody tries to help on a grand scale, and you don't need to.
No, it's just, a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Here, let me get that for you. You're like, no. I mean, how many times have you done that? I've done that. I was like, no, I don't know. It's like, just say thank you. That's a fantastic and powerful phrase. Thank you, and receive it. So I always did. When I hear people who say something that I typically go, I thank you. I receive that, because it is a gift.
Yeah. And if they didn't want to do it, they wouldn't have offered.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Yep. That is wonderful. So what's the best way for people that are watching today to get a hold of you or order your book? What's some good ways for them that they could connect with you?
So I am on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube under Sharing the Shine. And you can also go out to my website, which is sharingtheshine.com. And you can contact me through there. I do know that we have a QR code that you are going to post
Yes.
within this, and that actually has like all my links, like my Instagram, my LinkedIn. It's got everything easy breezy. It also has a link to my book in case that is something, because we talked about some of the tools. This truly is where I put all the biggest tools for me, because this is a guide. I created this for my daughter. And then I launched it and it went bestseller right away just because it was so powerful and people knew my story. So that QR code is going to have all of that. And I love stalkers. So follow me on Instagram and all of that. I love putting out content and giving as much free advice as I can.
Wonderful. And I will put that up in the comments and stuff below. So, but yeah, anything else you would like to share with everybody before we go today?
So the last thing is, if anything that I said really resonated with you and you have something that you would like to talk about, you want to go a little bit deeper on, identifying your safe person or your safe space, or going a little deeper on the Itty-Bitty Shitty Committee, I would love to gift you time on my calendar. Let's have a conversation. How can I help and support you past this video? That's what I'm on a mission to help every individual use their voice, show up for themselves. And with that, you can go to my website is freegiftfromcathy.com. And that's Cathy with a C. And you can schedule time with me, and then we can hammer it out. We can talk about how to ring that bell with your Itty-Bitty Shitty Committee. We can talk about how to stand in your courage and just go bigger.
That would be wonderful. So we will have all those ways to connect with Cathy in the comments underneath this video here. So make sure you reach out if you're struggling with any of that, or getting your voice, or like she said, finding that safe space or that safe person. You definitely want to reach out to Cathy. She's, as you can see, she's very easy to talk to. She's a wonderful lady. And I love what she does, and I'm sure you will too. So please reach out and connect with Cathy. And I want to thank you, Cathy, for spending some time with us this afternoon. And
Ms. Laura, it is absolutely my pleasure to pour into your people and just support you anyway.
Thank you. I really appreciate the support, and I love building this community. So, and also, if anybody watching, if there's a particular topic or something you're struggling with or you need help with, make sure you put it in the group. That's what we're here for. Because I know a plethora of people, and I'm sure if I don't know them, someone that I know knows them, and we can get you the support that's needed. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. We'll be back next week with Wendy Watson. And as always, if you want to catch up on this interview and all the others, you can go to my YouTube channel, which will also provide that link in the comments as well. And above all, make sure that you take care of yourself, because self-care is not selfish. It's essential for a healthier you. And thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.